Yeah,
the school.
well, I was thinking of something like
No
that too.
words.
Yeah, just your, your yellow sign with a child on it or something, because that's really, that's like a S curve, but it doesn't say dangerous curve, so it's not liable type thing.
They usually have a picture of a kid chasing a ball or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, or just crossing the street, but I didn't want to write children at play, because it's too easy for the lawyers if something happens.
Because then if a grown-up's out there,
Huh?
then if a grown-up's at play.
You can run them down.
And Bill, Susan asked whether it's going to be on Beacon or Elmer. It's mentioned two different locations.
Elmer Street. You done with that one?
We need to make a motion.
Oh, we need a motion on that one.
I believe I'd like to make a motion to approve proceeding with the quote, unquote, caution sign.
Second, any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion passes. And you have another one.
Well, yeah, since Kim is here, tax collector, I'll ever come up and speak to her. It's actually 11105 property tax interest policy.
Hello. This is just more of a housekeeping policy. Per RSA 7613, I have a staff report that I believe includes the interest rate policy. It falls under the assessment portion. That interest due in the amount up to $25 may be waived by the collector with the approval and consent of the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Assessors if in the collector's judgment the administrative and costs of collection involved do not warrant the collection of the amount due. This has kind of been something that's been done in the past, but we never approved the policy on it. So the request is to approve my ability to waive up to $25 in interest on property tax payments received. It would be it's more used when, tax bills due July 1st and we receive the bill July 3rd. There'll be a small amount of interest accrued, but the cost of me sending out bills and mailing and all of that costs more than what's due.
So the recommendation is to approve the policy as written, allowing the tax collector to waive interest up to $25 or less on tax payments received pursuant to RSA 7613. Town administrator recommendations concurs with that recommendations. Any discussion? Any other motion to accept that recommendation?
So moved.
Seconded. Discussion.
Thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to take a break or you want to forge ahead?
Forward to you.
Forge ahead. All right, tough guys. New business.
Diane is here, Diane Boyce is here to speak regarding recycling of the transfer department. Ed, he's here to talk about purchase and also a policy.
First off, in discussing the truck purchases here, I just have a lot of people I really need to thank. Not being an equipment is not my specialty, and this being a fairly new project, I wanted to make sure that we knew what we were buying and what we were purchasing. And I have committee members to thank for that, the town mechanics to thank for that, and my drivers who got the opportunity to go to Pembroke and drive the truck. We went up to Franklin and we saw the body that we were interested in for the collection and got to see that on the road. And seeing is believing. This project is going to be, I think, great for the town of Hooksett. But when we put the bid packages out, we only got 2 bids for the chassis, truck chassis. One was a Mack and one was a Peterbilt. Again, the truck that was in Pembroke was a Peterbilt, and they got an opportunity to drive that. They're right down the street, and as a group, the committee decided that to go with the Peterbilt chassis. It is going to save us about $9,000 overall, and it's, like I said, it's right down the street, and it's a dependable, great truck, and it was a unanimous consensus for that purchase. The other was the body, and we had 5 body bids come through. The body part is the collection part itself. This being the newest kind of, innovative kind of body out there, We wanted to make sure it was the right one for us. Two of the companies never even sent the demos, and as part of the bid package, we did ask them to send demos to the facility so we could go through them and, you know, see what we liked and didn't like about them. We had two contenders. One was the New Wave, distributed from Minnesota, but we're gonna be going through a company right in Bow, right, Hughes Equipment. They run them in Franklin, and it was a smooth operation up there. And the other contender was Labrie, made out of Canada. A little bit more money, another dependable truck. So it came down to what did we want to do, and the committee again worked really hard on this, and they decided that the best body for us would be the New Wave coming. It would be distributed out of Bow, and we'll save us about, I don't know, about $9,000 each on that. And it's made America versus Canada, and that kind of helped their decision a little bit. So that's what we're recommending. We're recommending the Peterbilt chassis, and I think it came to $122 for the purchase of that. And for the two of them, it would be $245 for the two of them, and the New Wave automated collection body for $206 for the two bodies. And when we were looking at this for the for asking for the money for the town, this should be about $30,000 less than what we anticipated when we first went out to bid on this.
Questions about the purchase of truck accessory?
The information provided looks great to me, and thank you for the committee as well as you. You've been doing it for a long time. You certainly do know your stuff. I served with you for 10 years as a. But the question I have is, so the two purchases for the collection bodies and the chassis total about $451,000. If I may, the question I have is the warrant article, which was approved, was a total of $920,000 for the collections and the program.
Yes.
So leaves about $468,000.
We also have to purchase the barrels. That's the next step. In going to the barrel companies, they don't require the time span. These are going to take 6 months to actually get out. The barrels, because they are made out of plastic, you know, they're trying to tell us we have to be careful. If we order too far in advance, they're going to have to lock on a price. And because of the way the fuel is going, if we wait a little bit longer, closer, they only take 2 months to get the barrels out there. So we're getting ready to start the bidding process on the barrel.
Is $468,000, if I may, I'm sorry to interrupt, is that more than going to be?
We're hoping it's going to be more, and we're going to be returning money to the town.
And beyond the trucks and the chassis and the arms and the barrels, is there any other additional requirements to initiate the recycling program other than maybe, and you're probably doing it, education?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
Other questions?
Diane, are these trucks gonna be able to get around the cul-de-sacs like the other one wasn't?
Yes. It's no bigger than the other truck,
It's no bigger than the
not at all.
garbage truck, but I remember we had that old recycled truck that really wasn't used for it, but that couldn't make it around the cul-de-sac, so.
I know we've talked about this before. That truck there was never intended for the purpose that it was purchased for. It was an automated truck that was, well, I think we all called it the Titanic. This was a truck that they purchased years ago. I never had the arm. I mean, the loading station was, it was not for the intended purpose for what it was purchased for. And I had nothing to do with it.
Oh, okay, I see. But these trucks will be able to maneuver around the cul-de-sacs.
Yes. Well, we might have, we're gonna have it when we get to the policy. Some placements of barrel in some neighborhoods, we might have to ask them, maybe put it across the street, or I know that Goffstown has just a couple of areas where we're gonna have to work with the residents as far as placement of the barrels. But the truck should be able to go everywhere.
Councilor Lozada?
Hello. I guess the one question is in regards to New Wave body. I mean,
Was there a discussion of how many of these that they have out in the field? Is there any number that we spoke to?
They don't have as many as the Labrie did, the two contenders. Labrie definitely has a lot more of the bodies out there. Again, I had a great committee that I worked with, and when it came down to it, they just liked the way the arm was.
Right.
As far as mechanics, they have like one switch. It was easier to maintain than the Labrie was. So the big picture is, you know, the new wave just came in
Right.
for what we were looking for.
And the, in regards to operation, because of two trucks, in the case of, say, automation failure, you know, mean time to repair, I think I had a discussion with you talking about also buying some, lack of a better description, armatures, or I should say, tooling for the old truck in order
Correct.
to augment that.
Yeah.
That's the backup
Yeah.
for,
An interesting point here, though, when we were in Franklin to watch the system there, they were actually down a truck. And what they were going to do, and what you can do with an automated system, is when you're done with one part of the route, they were doing trash, they were going to go into the recycling route just by changing the driver. So they weren't requiring two people to be on the back of a collection truck over the 8 hours in a very physical job. So it would actually, you know, that was one of the pros they had to the system.
and then the final question would be, is there any contingencies in regards to, how, on the maintenance side of things, are we gonna have any spare parts or components, or have they identified anything that's a high wear item that we might have in inventory?
Yes, in fact, they did, and that was again, the positive reactions we were getting from the committee. They went right through, we had a list of things that were concerns. A mechanic came through, this new truck that has wheels, like wheels for the barrel. It's just the way it carries the thing up. We can have those in spare parts. Some of the grabbers are spare parts. You know, as long as we maintain it, oil it all the time, it should be pretty good.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions regarding the purchase of this equipment?
Can I have just one quick question? We will be maintaining or keeping the current ones as backups,
Yes.
and so we could adapt what Mr. Lazat mentioned.
Correct.
to
We're going
those.
to be, because we still have containers at all the school and all the town departments, we're going to initially just keep the old truck going with the containers and eventually probably switch over to the automated system at the schools too.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So when will we get to ride in the trucks?
Hopefully in April or May. Again, we've talked about this before. As far as implementation, it almost has to be a perfect storm. The barrels have to be in, a company that distributes the barrel has to be ready. We have to have all our information as far as the addresses, where the barrel's going to go. So they are serial coded, so that we're going to be able to, you know, it's going to belong to that resident. So we'll have all that information. So when everything's all ready, you know, when we get that information, let the residents know when the project's going to start. We'll hopefully be able to collect trash one day, and after we're collecting the trash, go right out and be able to put the barrels right out for the next week.
Great. Chair would accept a motion to accept the recommendation.
I'll make that
contained.
motion, Mr. Chair. Second.
Second,
I'm
discussion.
concerned because it's new business, and if you go back to our council rules, we're not supposed to vote on new business
Oh,
without.
okay.
So I'm just concerned because it is listed under new business.
So that was not posted last week or the last meeting? This was the first time it was posted, is that?
Well, with it being listed under new business, again, if you go back to the council rules, and I don't have them in front of me at the time, but in order to vote on, make a motion on new business, I believe you would have to first make a motion to bypass the rules.
I make a motion to waive the rules.
I'll second that. Second. Any discussion about waiving the rules? Yes.
You don't know what section of the council rules it's in? Council Vincent?
No, I don't. And if I'm wrong, we don't have to make the motion, but I believe that is correct.
So that,
That was my mistake, I should have added that under,
Old business.